Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I hope you're doing fantastic out there. In this video today, we have another offering from Lipuls. This is their 12-volt lithium iron phosphate 200 amp hour plus battery. So let's go ahead and take a look. I want to say thank you right off the bat to Lipuls for sending this battery out for review. Now, as you can see, this is what the packaging looks like. Comes packaged pretty well, as do many batteries when you purchase them. So what we're looking at here is a nice foam insert, and there's these couple cards that comes with the battery. So let's go ahead and take a look at these cards. Join with us, and then it gives you a glimpse of their product line. It also has their contact information down below, as well as the email. And then it talks a little bit about the batteries, how you can set them up and stuff like that. This is their service card, and I'll scroll through here, so feel free to pause if you want to read this a little bit longer. Talks about the battery a little bit. So I really like that they include these cards, especially this one. This is the one that has a lot of the specifications of the battery. The nominal voltage, 12.8 volts, 200 amp hour capacity. Talks about 2,560 watt hours, and then 20.5 inches wide, 9.4 inches deep, and 8.6 inches tall. Of course, this battery weighs 52.9 pounds. That's not too bad. And then it says recommended charge current is 40 amp, maximum charge current 200 amp, and then your recommended charge voltage is 14.6. So when you charge a battery like this, you need to use a lithium iron phosphate battery charger. This is pretty cool, the information that you can find on these cards that are included with the battery. As you can see, the box there, the battery comes packaged very well with a lot of styrofoam and stuff like that. So as you can see, the battery comes in this plastic bag. This is a really heavy-duty plastic bag. I like that because the battery comes very well protected from the elements, things like that. So very, very nice. And we'll just pull the battery out of this protective bag. This is a nice thick bag. And as I'm pulling the battery out, I'm noticing that they also include some silica gel, which will help keep the battery dry while it's in shipment and storage and stuff like that. So here is a first look at the battery. You can see that it has terminal covers. These are nice because these prevent the battery from being short-circuited. These are M8 stainless steel bolts here on the terminals. Very nice. I like the little handles here. I like the labels. It's very clear, easy to read. 12.8 volts, 200 amp hour plus battery. Now the current retail price of this battery at the time of me filming this video is around $479. So you can see that the battery is built very well. Now, right off the bat, what I want to do is I want to take my voltmeter and I want to see how many volts are in this battery from the factory. The battery arrives with 13.17 volts. So we need to charge this battery, and there's several ways of charging. We can charge it using a lithium iron phosphate battery charger, which is what I'll do here. You can also use solar panel with a charge controller, or you could use a generator. So very nice having different options of charging for batteries like this. We'll hook this up and let that thing go. Right now you can see it's red, and we're going to let it charge until it turns green. It's going to take a little bit of time. This battery does have a 200 amp BMS. and it's made with premium cells. These are grade A prismatic cells, and the BMS has a lot of protection system. It's got high temperature protection, overcharge, over discharge, over current, as well as short circuit protection. Now they say that this battery can be cycled up to 15,000 times. So they do give it a 10-year lifespan is what they anticipate. And this is even at 100% depth of discharge. That's crazy. So if you want to discharge this battery down 100%, they say that you'll get around 4,000 cycles. If you want to discharge it down to 80%, where you have 20% left, you'll get about 8,000 cycles. And if you want to reduce it down to where you have 40% left, so is 60% depth of discharge, that's where you'll get those 15,000 cycles. Now this battery is not for starting your car, it's not for golf carts and stuff like that. This is not a cranking battery. Cool thing about lithium iron phosphate versus lead acid batteries is these do not off gas, and they're about a third the weight of what you would find in the equivalent capacity lead acid batteries. So very nice. You can puncture these things and they generally don't catch fire, where lead acid batteries are very, very dangerous. So these are green batteries. They're green energy, eco-friendly batteries. Now you can generate up to 10,240 kilowatt hours, and in the 10-year lifespan of this battery, that is just crazy. So what that would be the 2560 watt hours multiplied by 4,000 cycles, and that's how I came out with that 10,240 kilowatt hours. Now this battery does have a 5-year warranty. If you charge this battery with a charger like what we're doing today, if it was a 40 amp charger, you could charge this thing in about 5 hours. If you're using a generator going DC to DC at 40 amps, again 5 hours it would take to charge this battery. And if you're going to be using solar panels at least 750 watts, you could probably charge this thing in about 5 hours as well. Now the nominal voltage of this battery is 12.8 volts. It does have a capacity of 2560 watt hours of energy and max power. Very, very cool. And the 200 amp BMS on this battery. So if you're going to run a battery like this and you want to get an idea of how long you can run certain draws off of this battery, let's start by breaking it down. Let's say that we have 160 watts that we're going to be drawing. So maybe we're running a refrigerator or something like that. Out of this battery, you could run 160 watts for over 17 hours. And that's not including any charging that might be coming in, say for example an off-grid situation where you got solar panels and stuff like that. So just off the battery alone, 160 watt draw, 17 hours. If you have a 200 watt draw on this battery, you could do that for about 12 hours. And let's bump it up, and let's say we're drawing about 500 watts. This battery would do that for approximately 5 hours. If we have a 1,000 watt draw, 2.5 hours of runtime. 1,500 watts, about an hour and a half. And then if we got 1,800 watts of draw off this battery, 1.4 hours of runtime. That's just fantastic. Now you can run 4 of these batteries in parallel. You can also run 4 of them in a series. There's also the option to run 4 parallel, 4 series, so you can run up to 16 batteries. It's just absolutely fantastic. This battery is IPX5, so it is a water resistant battery. In the event that you get some rain or something like that, it's not generally going to hurt this battery. The maximum charging current that you can charge this thing at is 200 amps, and the maximum load power is 2,560 watts. So you can pull a lot of power out of this battery. These are perfect for camping situations, off-grid situations, maybe the marine environment where you're around boats and fish finders and trolling motors. You could use battery like this for things like that. Off-grid situation, that's what we're going to be using ours for, is off the grid. And as you can see, the charger over here just stopped. Charging is complete. So let's go ahead and disconnect these alligators and we will test the voltage of this battery, what the charged voltage is. We'll set that battery charger off and let's see what kind of voltage we got here. And as you can see, we are fully charged at 14.39 volts. So that is fantastic. This battery is fully charged. Let's get to testing it. Okay, at this point in time, I'm going to install a power inverter so we can test this battery. So let's just go ahead and spin it around like this. I have a 1/2 inch wrench here. I'm just going to take these bolts out. One thing that I will say about this battery is it would have been really nice if they would have used bolts that had Phillips heads on them so we could use a drill to do this. But that's not that big of a deal, just a minor thing. So we'll take those out and we will take the negative wires from this inverter, put them to the negative terminal, just like this. Those tightened in. When we connect the positives, we want to just bump them to the terminal and be prepared to see a spark. If you see a spark, that's because you're loading the capacitors in the power inverter. It's actually kind of common. So there's that little spark. You should not see multiple sparks. You should only see a single spark. So now that we got that out of the way, we'll go ahead and put the positives on. So I want to make note of something real quick. Anytime that you are using a wrench like this to tighten these connections, you want to be very careful that your wrench doesn't come back and short circuit against the other terminal. So be careful with that. And now we can go ahead and turn on the power inverter. You'll see that this kicks on. It will give us a voltage of the battery. Cooling fan is running. And let's go ahead and start our testing. So the first test that I'm going to do here is a pressure cooker. This is a 6-quart Instant Pot. This device uses about 1,000 watts of power. We're going to pressure cook some water just for the test today. So set that down. Close the lid, make sure we're in the pressurized position and push pressure cook. Now we'll wait and we'll take a look at the numbers. We'll see the wattage drawn here as soon as this device starts. There we go. I see this thing clicking. 884 watts, 895 watts. That's what we're pulling right now. And as you can see, the battery is handling this load just fine. And it'll pull this wattage until it comes up to pressure. Once it comes up to pressure, this wattage will drop down to almost zero. Another thing that I want to run is a mobile hot plate. So a little portable hot plate. We'll plug this in right here, just like this, and I will turn this thing on too high. You'll see the little red indicator here telling us that we're running. Now we have a total draw of 1,777 watts. We're going to take this pan, we're going to add some more water here. We're just going to bring this water up to a boil as well. These will be some good tests for this inverter. 1777 is the watts. You can hear the fan, so when you install this inverter, make sure that you install it in a way where it has plenty of room behind it to breathe. You don't want your inverter not having the ability to breathe. So as you can see, we're clearly having enough power to run both of these devices off of this inverter from this battery. Now you can add whatever size inverter you want to the battery, that's your choice. I'm going to be filling these wires momentarily through this process to make sure that the wires aren't getting hot. Warm to the touch is okay, you just don't want these wires getting hot. Of course, you want to be careful anytime you're using water around electrical equipment. You want to be careful of those types of things, and we're definitely being careful here. So 1,769 watts, is the power that we're using right now, so that is fantastic. You also have 2 USB ports here that we could utilize, so we could charge a phone, GoPro, stuff like that with these ports as well. What I spoke of earlier when we're using the wrench to connect these things, these wires, in the event that you accidentally short circuit, the battery's BMS should protect the battery from that, and it will drop the battery down to 0 voltage in most cases. And if that happens, you can wake the battery up by connecting a battery charger back to the battery, and that'll wake the battery up. So your lead acid batteries are good for those starting batteries and those things that I mentioned earlier, golf carts and stuff, but where these one doesn't work. The problem with those types of lead acid batteries is they are a battery that will off gas. Lithium iron phosphate batteries like this will not off gas, so you get good green energy out of these batteries. They're friendly to the environment around us. They're very good. The water is at a rolling boil, so I'm going to go ahead and kick that down to a simmer. We're going to lower our wattage. We've been drawing 1766 watts continuously, and it's powering this stuff with no problem. These wires are not even warm to the touch. They're very good wires, and I'm not feeling any heat anywhere, so these tests are doing very well. The pressure cooker is now up to pressure. We've reached a boil, we've reduced the heat, and now we're drawing 0 watts. As you can see, this battery has passed these tests with flying colors, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this little hot plate off. I'm going to move it out of the way, and the air conditioner that you hear behind me, I'm going to plug it into this green extension cord. So I'm going to disconnect it and plug it into this cord, and we'll see how it works. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this cooler off. And here's our green extension cord. We're going to just reach in here and plug the cooler into this. As you can see here, the cooler is turned off. We'll plug it in here to this green extension cord. You see the little green power level indicator there telling us that the cooler's on. And we're going to go ahead and go up to high cool and go all the way to max cool. So as you can see, the cooler's on max cool on high. Okay, right here you can see that we still have the pressure cooker going, and we have 53 watts. The cooler is on max cool, but it has not cycled yet. It hasn't went into that cooling step yet where the compressor kicks on. So that's really what I'm waiting for. And there you can see the wattages has changed. We are now drawing 547 watts, 550 watts, 538, and that cooler behind me is now working off of this power inverter and off of this battery. So in a way, you could say that the cooler is working in an off-grid situation as we speak. 509 watts. That is a very small cooler, and it is working very well. I'm checking the wires. They are cool to the touch. So as you can see, this Lipuls 12 volt 200 amp hour plus lithium iron phosphate battery is performing very well, and we are now cooling this room for free. Now in this shot you can see a competitor's 200 amp lithium iron phosphate battery. I've been using this one for quite a while, and it works fantastic. It has the same capacity as this one, so I'm just showing it for size comparison. I'm not going to say whose battery this is, but it just gives you a glimpse of how the Lipuls 200 amp battery looks next to a competitor's battery. They're almost identical in size. So my final thoughts on this Lipuls lithium iron phosphate battery 200 amp, this plus version. This is a fantastic battery. It passed all my tests with flying colors. I hope you enjoyed this video of me reviewing this battery. I want to say thank you once again to Lipuls for sending this battery out for review. If there's anybody out there that's interested in a high quality lithium iron phosphate battery that won't off gas in your living conditions, this is a good one. This is a good amount of capacity. Having a 200 amp BMS is fantastic. So I'll put a link in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, everybody.